everybody. I'm Amy Cuevas Schroeder. I'm the founder of Jumble Flow, and I'm based in Chicago. And I'm excited to introduce you to Bonnie Ho, who writes Living in the Third Eye for jumbleandflow.com. And she's also started writing about her adventures in trying to get pregnant over the age of 40, which has been a pretty big hit, which we're excited about. And did you also know that you might know this if you're a reader of Bonnie's, but she is a talented psychic, and she has been my personal energy and tarot reader for the last year, and she's helped me unblock some negative stuff that was getting in my way and preventing me from taking leaps forward that I needed to. But luckily, she's helped me out, and I'm feeling so much better and more confident. And that's why I'm excited to say that just for Jumble and Flow, Bonnie is offering a custom tarot reading that comes with a PDF that you get to keep, which I think is pretty cool. Bonnie, introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks, Amy, for that introduction. I'm really excited to chat and talk and all of that. So, yeah.
Great. And I have some questions for you that I'm hoping you can answer just to tell us more about how your process works, and I'm just like curious in general. So I think I want to start by asking you how did you become a psychic? And I know you have like official training as a psychic, and I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's interesting because I had a really analytical career in tech and video games, and I was in marketing, and then I was a researcher, like quantitative researcher as well as a qualitative researcher. But like I was very much very like practical and numbers oriented and really about like facts and things like that. And so but as I was beginning in my spiritual journey in the last decade or so, I just had this real like desire to tap into my intuition better and to understand that part of myself better. And being someone that was really analytical, it was really hard for me to tap into that. And so um what ended up coming up for me was a school, which is called Psychic Horizons, and they're a meditation and healing school. And I just started taking their meditation classes as a way to begin to start to tap into my intuition. And they have a clairvoyant training program there. So after you take your meditation classes, you can decide if you want to go into that training. And so I decided, you know what, I really enjoy this. I'm doing a lot of healing work on myself, and I wanted to pursue that and just develop my intuition into, I guess, something that's even more I guess like systematic. It's kind of interesting because it really is a very systematic approach that Psychic Horizons takes. And basically, but a lot of it is really just practice, for anyone out there who's interested in, developing their intuition, or anyone who's interested in, you know, just developing any like psychic or clairvoyant or anything like that. It's really just about practice. So it's kind of crazy. What they do is the second you start the training, they put you in with other readers right away. First week there, they put you in, and you don't have to do anything. You don't have to say anything, but it's really just practice, and it's about really developing trusting your own information. And they really stress that it's really about like trusting your own information. And really that is the program. There are classes that we're in and everything, and they have healing techniques that they teach, but a lot of it is really just practice. And honestly, it was a really difficult process for me because it was hard. Like I'm so used to having like oh, I researched something and I'm gonna put like a PowerPoint presentation about it, and I'm gonna like show the PowerPoint presentation. And doing readings, it's really about like having no notion of anything, walking into it, right? And having the person ask you the question, and for you to tune into their energy, and and really just get whatever messages are coming through for that specific person. And someone that asks like the same question, two people who ask the same question, you could be getting completely different answers for them, right? Depending on who they are and their energy and things like that. So it's this complete different mindset that I had to get into, of like there's no right answer for everyone. And just trusting that like whatever information is coming in is the right information for that person.
So interesting. I love it.
Yeah.
Can you like kind of try to describe how you do a tarot reading for somebody? I know I'm not going to have you do it to me because I think it'll, take too long. But I'm going to share um, a reading that you've done with me already. But can you just talk about your process for how it would work for somebody who does your Jumble and Flow tarot reading?
Sure. Yeah. So just to like share what tarot is and everything. So tarot is a system of cards, and really for me, I consider it a language, almost. So there's a major arcana and a minor arcana, and in the major arcana, there's a set of archetypes, and there's also this idea that in everybody's kind of spiritual life, there is a set, not a set, but like a pattern as far as the path that you take. Like, so for example, the first card of the tarot is the Fool, and it's this idea of like new beginnings and going out there, and just going out into the unknown and being really free and things like that. But then as we do that, there are these things that kind of come in and layer in, and so there's like an entire cycle of this. And so depending on that card, it means something about your own spiritual life. And then there are these minor arcana cards that tell us about kind of different elements. So like for example, the cups represent emotions, and the swords represent the mind and communication. And so there are these different elements that then informs the path as well, but in a different way. And so and so when I go to do a tarot reading, I am, using the tarot, but I'm also tapping into the person's energy and using my training as a clairvoyant and as a psychic to just really fine tune the message that's coming through. So, I have my deck of tarot cards here, for example, and what I do is first I do ask for permission from the person that I'm reading, just asking their spirit, do I have permission to give you this reading? And so, just to, make sure that I'm not, being nosy or anything. I don't go around reading everybody's energies. I don't go around just, you know, tapping into people. That's kind of rude. Um, and so, I do that first, and then I just kind of like shuffle the cards like this, and I kind of just get a little hit, as to if a card wants to come up, or when a card falls to the ground or falls out, that's a real message. Like, this is the card that wants to come out. So one
Oh,
just fell to the
interesting.
ground, and this is the Three of Cups.
Ooh, and you said that's about cups are about emotions?
Yeah, cups are about emotions, and the Three of Cups specifically is about just community and celebration. So you can see that these three people are kind of in a circle, celebrating. Um, and I also associate it with collaboration.
Hmm.
And I think you might have gotten this card in your reading.
Yeah.
Um,
Who does?
yeah, and so, and so there's something about the card's interpretation that is the typical interpretation. But then for me, I also tune into the person's energy to see, like, okay, what specifically about this card is it wanting to, what's the message that wants to come through,
Mm.
and so, that's one thing that differentiates me from other tarot readers, having had the training in reading energy and tapping in with my clairvoyance, and specifically, like, for me, as far as uh, the psychic, uh, um, kind of psychic um, abilities. Mine is much more like around clairsentience, so I can really feel people's emotions, and
Wow.
that's usually like the way that I tap into people. Is first I kind of just feel like, okay, well, how are they feeling? Are they anxious? Are they frustrated? Are they angry? And then I kind of just dive a little bit deeper and try and get the message.
Oh, sorry about that.
No worries.
That happens on Zoom. So
Yes.
cool. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's really
Yeah.
interesting. So my next question is about, I'd just love to just hear more about your take with other readers out there. And in the past, I've gone to other readers myself, and some of them were awesome, and some of them were not. I didn't feel like I trusted them, and for some of those readers, I felt like I was sort of at their mercy. Um, I'm just wondering if you personally have ever felt that way, like when you yourself have gone to get your own reading.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, considering I'm doing this, it was always something that I was curious about, and so every once in a while, I would be curious to get a reading. And I mean, even before I was on a spiritual path, I mean, obviously, like, you're walking down the street and there's a palm reader, or there's, the kind of like window that says like psychic, and there's this sense of curiosity that you have about that. And, pretty early in my life, like, or like in my 20s and things like that, I would just be like, oh, I really want to go to them and just see what they'll say. And I've definitely gone to the psychics and people like tarot readers and palm readers who will tell me some stuff, and then they'll be like, and then I also am getting that you have like this like bad spirit that's around you, and so if you pay me $100, I'll get rid of the spirit, and I mean, I'm glad that I never fell for it, but they're obviously preying on people and preying on people's fear, um and so, I just want people to know that, you definitely need to use your own discernment when you are going out and looking for a tarot reader or getting a tarot reading. And, it's interesting because, I have, but on the other hand, I have also had readings where I'm like, I don't know about this, and get really triggered. Um, and then like 5 years later, I'll be like, oh, I now understand what that person was saying. So, but,
Can
you
you give us an example? I'm curious about that. Can you just like
yeah.
give us an example if you happen to remember what that experience was
Yeah,
like?
totally. So when I was dating my ex-boyfriend, I had gone to a reader, and she had told me, and I was like unsure about it. It was the beginning of the relationship. I was not completely sure about some things of parts of the relationship, and I asked her about it, and I got super triggered because she was like, oh, well, you should have someone that'll treat you like a princess. And I got like super triggered because I'm like, what? I don't need someone that, like, I'm not a princess, I don't need that. And it was kind of like that, my inner feminist coming out and being like, how dare you say that I'm that type of woman that would want to be labeled a princess. And, you know, and I ended up just like staying with my partner. We were together for a long time and we broke up, a couple of years ago. And now I look back on it and I'm like, oh, I get what she was saying. Like I get that, that she was just trying to tell me that I should choose somebody that'll treat me better. And he wasn't like a terrible partner or anything, but he was kind of a little bit like mediocre, in terms of like, he wasn't like bad to me, but he wasn't like great to me either. And so I think what she was just trying to convey was that, like, yeah, just get somebody that'll like treat you really, really good. But that word princess triggered me. And so, but at the time I didn't take it in. And really, I'm glad that, I didn't let that person change my mind, even though things didn't work out. There were still good parts of the relationship. There were still good things that came out of that relationship. And so, I mean, it's a big thing that I want people to know is that like, make your own decisions, even whether it's, me or somebody else reading for you. If they give you a piece of advice that doesn't resonate with you, you don't have to take it in. It is up to you to make your own decisions. And and maybe, yeah, in a few years you'll understand what that person was saying, or maybe not. But in this moment, it is up to us all to take our power back and decide for ourselves, in the way that's most empowering.
I love that. So this is making me think about, so my last question I wanted to ask you is about what kind of question do you think people should ask you when they, if they decide to get a reading from you? Can you just talk about, because I know it all starts with the question, right? That the
Hmm.
person you're doing a reading for needs to ask a question.
Yeah.
Can you give us advice or examples of like what makes for a good question versus maybe a not so good question?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, a lot of times, people do go to tarot readers or other types of readers because they're at a crossroads in their life, and there are some people who kind of want them to make a decision for you, like, or they want me to make a decision for them. And I will never make a decision for you. I will just give you information about, if it is like, oh, this path or that path. I will give you information about, whether some things to think about for each path. And so, you know, it's very typical for people to come and be like, well, should I do this or should I do that? Even if somebody does come to me and ask me that question, I still, I will reframe the question for them. But the best way to really go about it is to just say, like, this is what's going on in my life. This is the situation that's happening in my life. And a lot of people, well, not a lot. Some people will not want to share that information because they'll be like, oh, well, I'm going to a psychic, and so, like, I shouldn't share so much information because, like, I want to make sure they're legit. And really, for me, I'm like not that type of psychic that's trying to just like show you that I can, like, be psychic. Like, I'm not like a parlor trick is what I'm trying to say, to be
Right.
straightforward. And so I prefer the type of readings where people are really trying to work through something and they just want to, like, here's my situation. I feel a little stuck. Like, what can you tell me to help me work through whatever's going on? Whether it's yeah, something that you want to pursue, or I'm just completely stuck because I have this path or this path, or just like I'm completely confused and frustrated. it's okay for the question to be like open ended. So I enjoy the sessions and the readings most when people just say like, "This is what's going on in my life, and what can you tell me about
You
that?"
told me.
So
Okay,
yeah,
got it. So it's like what I'm taking away from that is maybe what you're suggesting is not necessarily asking like a question that you could answer with yes or no,
yeah,
right? Okay.
absolutely,
Okay. Okay.
yeah,
That
yeah. Because yeah, the more I've been kind of on my path and everything, you know, w- there is no bad decisions. I think that's
mm,
the thing that I want to put out there in the world is where we sometimes fear that we're making a bad decision, and you know we'll get the information from the universe if we're kind of like not quite aligned with what we're supposed to be doing. I truly believe that there is like a safety net in the universe as far as like, if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, oh, you'll get a message about it in some way.
okay.
Whether that's just like, through a reading or whether that is through, other people or just circumstances that are happening in your life. And, that, it there it's like this whole thing, like Marianne Williamson said this thing once about like being on path is like our path is like a GPS
Mm,
system, and so if you like make a right turn when you were supposed to make a left turn, it'll just reroute you,
mm,
and I really believe that. And so it's like it's okay if you made that right turn instead of the left turn because you'll always be rerouted to where
yeah,
you're supposed to be going.
I love that. And like you're gonna learn something along the way, right?
Right, exactly.
And I think at this point in my life, that's like my biggest takeaway that I find regularly is that okay, I've been through a lot of stuff. I've made a lot of left and right turns, and not all of them led to a good place, but I learned a ton from that, and I'm happy where I'm at now. So, yes.
Absolutely.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you, Bonnie. It was awesome talking with you.
Yeah, thank you so much for setting this up and all of that. And um, I know I hope we get to do more chats in the future.
I do too. Okay, bye bye.
All right, bye.